presentation of ABC Sports.
Now let's join Chris Schenkel and the Professional Bowlers Spring Tour.
Here at the Showboat Lanes in Las Vegas, Nevada, we're in our very first game of doubles competition. You're looking at Jimmy Keith, partnered with Ray Perez, leading by 8 pins over Bob Benoit and Ballard. Again, a 4.
Jimmy Keith, the most powerful player on the Professional Bowlers Tour. He's the guy that can be the catalyst for some big scores on this Ray Perez-Keith team. Each player is bowling 5 frames on a designed lane. In other words, lane 59, Keith will bowl 5 frames, Perez will bowl 5 frames on 60.
Incredible speed on that 16-pound bowling ball. Continuing to lead by 7 pins now, reaching the midpoint of our first game. More after this. Showboat Lanes in Las Vegas, Nevada. 10 professionals today instead of our usual 5. This is the Showboat PBA Doubles Classic.
PBA Doubles Classic lane conditions, Chris. 24 feet of oil heavy in the center of the lane, down to 41 feet, a little bit lighter dry back here. We have 6 lefties in the championship round. They're playing almost the rainbow shot, out and around. The righties somewhere between the 2nd and 3rd arrows, out to the channel, hooking the ball back. Some real big scores, and right now it's Ballard up on the right-hand lane.
One of the great competitors, the reigning Firestone Tournament of Champion winner. Did it in April. He and his teammate Bob Benoit are down 7. Dell looking for his first strike today, fumbling a little bit, leaving the 6-10.
A style that's gotten Ballard a lot of respect and a lot of money around the country. He's got that cupped wrist, shoulder high swing, stays down on the shot normally, but that time he raised up about 3 or 4 inches with his head and pulled the shot high. He has struggled on the right-hand lane. His partner, Benoit, has been perfect.
And speaking of Bob Benoit, he is off the chair and ready to go in their burgundy shirts here. Team competition. They'll meet, the winner of this doubles match will meet a pair of left-handers, Stephen Hardy and Andy Neuer. Bob holding his head after the release, knowing that it was going high.
All the players so far, especially the big power players, Ballard and Benoit and Keith, among these 4 players, have been tentative. They have to let the ball go. There's a wonderful lane condition out there. The scores have been great all week. The combined scores of all 10 players in this championship pair has been 236.
Wow.
So the strike ability is out there, Chris. It's got to loosen up.
Mm-hmm. Beautifully done by Bob Benoit. So quickly up now, Ray Perez, shorter of this team. He's from Cincinnati, Ohio. And Bo, you mentioned fine amateur bowler. He definitely was that.
Dominated the amateur ranks, won the Hoinke Classic and many of the other high-paying amateur tournaments. And he's trying to make the transition to pros. Has been looking pretty good as of late.
With strikes like that. Very compact. We asked the team this question. What makes you a good doubles team?
Well, pretty much I got started off real good in the tournament. I was carrying very well, and he was getting a little heavy at the end, and he woke up Friday.
That's true. I rode the first 18. Match play, he rode the horse, so we pretty much equaled out.
And Jimmy Keith, whom you just heard, left the 10 pin on the left lane.
A saw 10 pin, unbelievable. You can put that much power on the bowling ball and still not strike. And what Jimmy Keith and Ray Perez alluded to, there's a normal format of 18 games of doubles qualifying, then 24 games in the finals. Perez got him through the qualifying. Jimmy Keith has been the strong man in the finals, and right now they will be leading by 9 pins.
We mentioned Hardy and Neuer next, then Parker Bohn and Duane Fisher. And our tournament leading Bo and I are at the Showboat Lanes for our last of our 3 Spring Tour telecasts, the most unique format, doubles.
A lot of action, Chris. Each player bowls 5 frames on a designated lane. They don't switch lanes. We have 10 bowlers out there. We have 6 lefties. The 1, 2, 3 spots are all lefties. And our first match is still to be settled, so we have Ballard and Benoit up ready to go.
And they're bowling for the championship plus $30,000. Split evenly, of course. And here's the man with 3 wins this year, including the Firestone. And Dell has just had everything high or sliding by. He's having an off afternoon.
For sure. It's almost, his partner said to him, ugly. And that didn't mean his facial composure. It's his ball going down the lane. He has to give it room, get some speed, and generate a little pressure on basically the non-winners they're playing against, Keith and Perez.
An anxious moment or two for Dell. He very disgusted with what's happening to his shots today. Bob Benoit is keeping them close. They're only trailing by 10 pins, but as you see, through 7 frames.
And Benoit will bowl that all-important 10th frame. He's up there in the 8th.
A 10.
Just not attacking. Chris, we're not used to the 5-frame format, and although the players really enjoy it, they look at this as kind of a vacation with no pressure. It started to show up here once they start keeping score for the big bucks. I'm sure whomever wins this match will loosen up and we'll see some big numbers. I'd like to see a doubles 300. That'd be exciting.
Mm-hmm. And you remember when we were here earlier in the year at the Showboat Lanes, it was Del Ballard that defeated Bob Benoit 245 to 224, and they drove back to Dallas together. They are close friends. Now Ray Perez, 11-pin lead, spare up, 8th frame.
Good shot by Perez, but a key shot for Jimmy Keith right here. The power player can give them a 21-pin lead going into the 10th frame against the experienced winners, Ballard and Benoit. Big shot.
Not a solid pocket hit, leaving the 4. Bowlers have a lot of interesting hobbies. One of Jimmy's is darts. Can you imagine the velocity that the dart must go toward the target?
Very popular in England also. Now Keith with a conversion would keep his team in front by 11.
A Nolan Ryan fastball.
About 24 miles an hour is the fastest we've ever had the radar gun on a bowling ball, and that was Jimmy Keith, Hartford, Connecticut, when he defeated Marshall Holman in the semifinal.
And Dell finally gets one. Surrendering. Getting a high 5 from Bob Benoit.
The inside-out swing of Del Ballard. Now watch this pin action. Hits the light. Watch the action of the head pin. It goes to the sideboard, intercepts the 4. The 6 slashes out the 10. That was the money frame. Now, for the first time in the match, Bob Benoit with a strike in the 10th can make it close.
All right. Bob Benoit, who formerly owned an auto body shop, and his partner Del Ballard, a muscle car fan, in fact, hoping to win here today so he could go to Cincinnati and buy a Shelby Mustang. But there's a Cincinnati bowler on the other team that may keep him from doing that.
And right now, the destiny all rests in Bob Benoit's hand. They have never been ahead in the whole match. They trail by 1 pin. With this strike, they could take a 10-pin lead. Just a little tug on that by Benoit. Just got it inside his target line. He'll finish the game at 2:05. Keeth and Perez going at a 2:07 pace. Chris, and I recall how Ray Perez struggled in the clutch in Hartford, and he pulled much better in Fresno his next chance against Pete McCordick last year. Let's see what happens in this 10th frame.
This is our first match. Left-handers next, Steve Hardy and Andy Neuer, to be followed by Parker Bohn.
Ray Perez needs to fill 19 or 20 pins in the 10th to win the match. 18's a tie. Anything less, they lose.
Clutch performance.
Well, it's so important for a young man in his career, especially on a professional bowlers tour, where almost every game goes the last frame, to build that self-confidence. Perez struggled in Hartford, came back and bowled well last year in Fresno. Now the next time he has an opportunity, he rolls as good a shot as you can possibly roll. So now he only needs 9 pins on 2 balls to ice the victory. I'm sure he'll get it.
We're live at the Showboat Lanes in Las Vegas. Cincinnati's Ray Perez, West Palm Beach, Florida's Jimmy Keith will advance and go against Stephen Hardy and Andy Neuer.
And the first match won by Perez and Keith, 216 to 205. They'll go against the 2 left-handers. Hardy and Neuer will go in the next match. Parker, Bohn, and Fisher in the semifinal. Our tournament leaders, Cook and Aulby, will be very tough to beat. And earlier, Chris Schenkel had a chance to present to Mike Aulby the Budweiser Points Trophy, as he won the Budweiser Trophy. And this week, Aulby did receive that, or will receive that from Chris. And here is Aulby with his point lead. Ballard right in there, Peterson, Monicelli, and Voss. Now Chris Schenkel with Mike Aulby.
Time now to award excellence. All season long, we've been talking about the Budweiser Kingpin Point standings. A winner has been determined. Great Mike Aulby. Charlie Hodges, Pro Sports Coordinating Director of Budweiser, is here with the spoils of winning.
Mike, it's my pleasure on behalf of Anheuser-Busch and the Budweiser brand to present to you this beautiful trophy, signifying you as the 1989 Budweiser Kingpin Award winner, and along with it goes this check for $25,000. Congratulations.
Thanks, Charlie. I'd like to thank Budweiser and all the people at Anheuser-Busch for sponsoring the Kingpin, but also for supporting the Pro Bowlers Tour on the winter and spring tours. Thank you.
And believe me, a worthy winner. We congratulate Mike. An unusual glass trophy and lots of money. Now, stepping in from Methuen, Massachusetts, Stephen Hardy, a non-winner, 24-year-old. He is paired with Andy Neuer of Sellens Grove, Pennsylvania.
First shot ever in a championship round.
Talking to the ball, and it's a 7-pin.
The wide sweeping hook of Hardy comes in light, drives the head pin to the sideboard, and almost slices across and takes out the 7. See if he can make this spare. One of the most difficult spares for left-handers for some reason is over in the left corner. Throw it hard and straight, Stephen. You'll be off to a good start.
'24-year-old with a big arc. And you'll remember Ray Perez, who closed out beautifully in that first match. A 216 to 205 victory over Del Ballard and Bob Benoit. Here's Perez, first shot for his team, second game. Leaving the 3-6-9-10.
It's expected Ray Perez to come out charging in that first shot after loosening up and winning that first game. You see the overhead shot. He's playing right around the first arrow on the right-hand side. Lets the ball drift high. Starts with a tough spare. Chris, it just doesn't seem like anybody can loosen up. There are some good scorers out there if they just let it go.
Averages were big coming in, but there's pressure here in winning $30,000 first prize in the title, especially for those that have yet to win. And we have a few of them in our field of 10.
Only three players left that are eligible for the Firestone Tournament of Champions.
Jimmy Keith. Ripped him.
Well, he's the man that can make the difference. Jimmy Keith is probably the most exciting young player to come on the tour. He's a little bit wild, sporadic with his shots, but he's one of the players that even the PBA players like to sit and watch. Now, here's Andy Neuer, second championship round appearance.
Leaving a 7, the man whose best year was 1988 when he won 28,971. This year only 9,995. Notice in the doubles competition, Bo, teammates firing up the other.
Rooting for him. Don't want him to let him down. It's a sad feeling when you let your partner down. Sometimes you can justify letting yourself down, or at least console yourself. When you let your partner down, it sticks with you for a long time.
Stephen Hardy in Methuen, Massachusetts. And back up Ray Perez. Bo, you won in 1981 with Sam Zurich, and then you and Earl Anthony paired 1 year at least.
1983, Earl and I bowled. Earl got me most of the way, and then I struggled to get on TV and let him down. We came down to the last shot, and we finished second, but it's an exciting tournament.
Ray Perez.
Jimmy Keith, I met him when he was 16 years old, Chris. West Palm Beach, I was bowling an exhibition, and I said, anybody in this field want to come up here and get whipped by one of the best professional bowlers in the world? Nobody said anything. This little boy, well, he wasn't that so little, comes up and he says, I can whip you, Mr. Burton. He shot 268, and I remembered his name ever since.
Oh, he's really found the pocket here now. And we're talking about Jimmy Keith, a 22-year-old professional from West Palm Beach, Florida. Leading by 20. Teamwork in marriages, too. Jack and his wife, Victoria, operate the Showboat lanes, 106 total.
World's largest bowling center. That title they actually inherited when Edison Lanes in New Jersey shut down last year. It was 112 lanes. A nice complex if you've never visited here at the Showboat.
And a busy one.
That's for sure. Andy Neuer, team trails by 21, can cut that margin to 11.
And he comes through for his team.
Andy Neuer, watch this inside-out arm swing. He gets that ball behind his back. Now he'll drive through right to that right foot, which makes him a good center-of-the-lane or inside player. If a player drops the ball behind his back slightly, he usually bowls better on the inside of a bowling lane. And if he bumps it out a little bit like Tony Marisi does, the player that did so well a couple of weeks ago, he's usually a better outside player.
To cut the lead to 1. And then that.
What a bad break. Steve Hardy thinks he's just about going to even the match. He comes in light. The only thing he can do is get the ball over here by the 10 pin and maybe bounce it out in the 7 or vice versa. It can go either way, but he should at least get one of them. That's one of the real bad breaks of today's bowling.
So he needed a Mark Roth type break in converting the 7-10. Incidentally, Mark Roth and Marshall Holman finished 11th, former winners.
Professional bowling, the other team gets a bad break. The split by Hardy and Neuer. Now it's up to Ray Perez to jump on it right away.
Look at that. What fire in the eyes of Perez. Transmitting it over to his partner, Jimmy Keith. They won the first game, if you just joined us, 216 to 205, eliminating Ballard and Bob Benoit. They had 6 strikes in this doubles competition.
Let's watch the release of Jimmy Keith, how he sets up in a position, and then how he cocks that wrist. He actually is double jointed, where his thumb turns back all the way to the inside of his wrist. That's how he gets that power. There it is right there.
Sort of like a Mike Tyson punch.
Agreed. As much leverage and power as you'd ever want to need in the game, Chris, and everybody has said is once Jimmy Keith learns how to control his ball and a little bit of his temperament on the lane, he could be one of the best players that ever has showed up on the PBA Tour. And he looks much more under control this time than his previous performances. Now, what he does to throw it straight, he just does not cock that wrist. He keeps that wrist flat and throws it hard and straight.
Now Andy Neuer, only his second television ever. First one was earlier this year, and his partner in his very first. And following an open frame, he and Steve Hardy needed it. Duane Fisher and Parker Bohn, who will be up next, are warming up.
Chris, while Bohn's warming up, you see Neuer get a great break as the 3-pin goes to sideboard and takes out the 6.
Strike up for this team. 7th frame. Two, 4, 7.
This young man who was driving a bakery truck for his dad in the family business back east before he decided to come out here on a professional bowlers tour does not give that ball enough room in a key situation where he could have cut the lead of the 2 right-handers down to just 24. Now it's still 34.
So the son of the owner of Hardy's Bakery in Lawrence, Massachusetts. Another open frame. Showboat Lanes, Las Vegas, second match, doubles competition. Jimmy Keith is left to 2, 4, 10.
Needs this to maintain their 46-pin lead. They have a chance now. Looked like Neuer and Hardy were completely out of the match. Ray Perez rolled a nice strike in the 7th frame. Keith could have put the lefties away. Not to be, opens up. Now it's just 32 pins. The match is up for grabs. 8th, 9th, and 10th frames coming.
After an earlier open frame, they came back with a strike, and Neuer has done it again in the 8th, and the lead has been cut to 32. Now it's up to Steve Hardy. He can cut it to 22 with this shot in the 9th. Loosening up. A lot of pressure. First time ever on TV.
And this is his biggest shot. I don't believe they can win the match if Hardy doesn't strike here in the 9th.
All right. Wide World of Sports immediately following. It'll be the Caress, the Symphony of Sports, blending gymnastics and figure skating, Bo. Pleasing to the eye, both of those forms of competition. Putting them together, it's got to be very special.
Rosalind Summers, one of my favorite. Bart Connor up there. I'm excited to watch it. Now, 9th frame.
Ray has been consistent throughout this match. Closed fast in his victory over Ballard and Benoit. 22 pins. Now Jimmy Keith to increase it. A try.
Right now, Jimmy Keith can close the door on the Neuer-Hardy duo. A strike here slams the door. What a strike!
We have an overhead camera. Let's view it again.
Watch Jimmy's release as he hits the foul line, that inside-out swing, that cocked wrist, and see how he releases it straight up. What a wonderful shot of a power release. Now you want to see some pins do some talking? Adios. the match is over. It's just Jimmy Keith must keep that ball in the lane, and I've seen him do some stranger things than throw it wild. Now he used his brain there. That's a winner, though, Chris.
Very conservative shot, wasn't it?
That's the best place to be.
Why
All he
not?
had to do is hit the head pin.
Right. So that means that Parker Bohn III and his partner, first time ever television appearance for Duane Fisher. That was at least 25 miles an hour. Jimmy Keith, now he and his partner Ray Perez have won 2 doubles matches here in Las Vegas. We're live. Stay tuned. We'll return. Keith have won their second match. 7 strikes, 221. Hardy and Neuer, 192. Now, upgrading the competition from the standpoint of experience, especially that of Parker Bohn III, and his non-winning partner, Duane Fisher, left-handers.
Well, Chris, there were 3 left-handers in the top 3 spots, but one of them has been eliminated. Now we see the number of teams here. 109 doubles team. Average team score 205. That's pretty high. And let's take a look at some of the other finishers. Monticelli and Walter Ray went down the very last ball. Another couple of lefties, Anderson and Christensen. There's a duo we all know, Weber and Voss, 8th place. Palumbi and Pritz, steady all week long. Harold Sullins, he just won a couple of weeks ago, and John Mazza. Marshall Holman and Roth, perennial winners here at the Showboat. Mats Carlson, Scott Devers, the little lefties doing a good job as usual. Tom Baker and Schlegel, former president of the PBA. David Houston and Mark Baker, 2 good-looking guys there in the number 15 spots. Figueroa and Sal Vemini, 2 good names together there. Wonderlick and Ozio, 17th. There's 2 of the greatest of all time, Salvino and Stefanich. McCordick, Williams, they were here last year. Brian Goebel, Bob Glass, big powerful guy from Kansas. Norm Duke, Chris Warren, a couple little power players from Texas. 2 more veterans, Pappas and Dickinson, Hall of Famers. Kevin McGurr, John Odrobnik, 23rd, and rounding out the top 24, Dave Dientremont and Nick Judges.
All right, and now we go into our semifinal game, and Parker Bohn III, 5th television appearance of the year. Aulby, who will be in the next match as tournament leader, and his partner Steve Cook, had 6 TV appearances, 3 big wins. Parker Bohn, Freehold, New Jersey. So he started our semifinal game, having to wait after Keith and Ray Perez won the first 2 matches. We're live in Las Vegas. Should any more developments happen in Beijing and China, of course, ABC News will be covering it. Leaving a 6-pin on his first shot.
Ray Perez has been high and light, but always there in the clutch so far in the 2 matches as he avoids the 4-6 split. Ends up with a relatively easy spare, the 6-pin.
He knew it at the release.
Chris, that is the exact pin he missed in Hartford when he began his downfall. He missed the 6-pin in the 9th frame and came up and missed the 3, 6, 9, 10 in the 10th frame in his loss at Hartford 2 years ago. Once again, he misses the 6-pin. An ominous start for this duo that's won 2 matches.
They have paired well, so let's see if Jimmy Keith can help. No avail, leaving the 2, 4, 8, 10.
Jimmy Keith can make this with his power, and the trick to making the 2, 4, 8, 10 is roll the big hook ball. What he has to do is get the big hook over here in the 2, 4 zone. The 4-pin will actually bounce off the 8 into the 10. You don't want to just plow into him. That's not the way to make it. And he is playing this big hook shot. He can make that. Not to be.
Not to be. After winning 2 games, can't allow their daubers to get down now. They started with 2 opens. That has really opened the doors. We look at first-time television ever for Duane Fisher from Pennsauken, New Jersey, 26-year-old. And the highly respected Eastern Regional professional with a double for his team.
What a nice shot for your first time ever in a championship round. Good smooth swing, shoulder high. Now watch this arm swing. Tuck it into that left hip, inside out. Good release over the second arrow. And he just saws that 5 out as they are off to a quick 32-pin lead with the experienced Parker Bohn at the helm.
Parker leaving a 6-10, and it's the 3rd year that they have paired. They were 10th here in '86, 23rd last year, and were 2nd coming into our live coverage of the finals.
Parker has struggled somewhat in his 4 previous TV appearances this year, not winning a single tournament. He's not eligible for the Firestone.
Parker was 2nd to Del Ballard here at the Showboat Invitational earlier in the year. The 1984 Bowler of the Year in his hometown of Cincinnati. Had a spare up, left the 4.
What happens to Ray Perez if he wants to study his game a little bit every time a guy is in a championship round he wants to is he varies his speed when he gets tentative. I marked down the last time he was on, he varied his speed 16, 17, 18, and 19 miles an hour on the same lane. That's not good.
Our 28th season of bringing you the best in professional bowling here on ABC, and of course in 1990 we will start January 13th with the Pinole Open for our 29th season.
And we'll be on 24 weeks next year, culminating July 28th, a long season. Here's the man that has to take control in this match. The power player, Jimmy Keith, can incite his team to get going. He needs to throw some strikes.
And again, light.
2-7 baby split. All he has to do is get that ball over to the left side, and he'll take out the 2 and 7 as he comes in light for the 2nd consecutive time. Head pin goes to sideboard, doesn't do the job on the 2 and 7s, and needs to convert this to give some team a little momentum.
Any questions? We're in our semifinal game. Keith and Perez, IndyCar Championship Racing tomorrow on ABC. Capacity crowd here in this huge establishment. In this section, there are 70 lanes. 10 professional bowlers have been pounding the championship pair here. We're in our 3rd match, and we have a first-time ever bowler up now in the pink shirt, Duane Fisher of Pensacola, New Jersey. He has an associate degree in business from Camden County College, and he works for a law firm. He really doesn't bowl full-time. Maybe he should. All right, earlier we asked the team, and especially Parker, why he chose Duane as his doubles partner.
Well, Duane and me, we've known each other for about 10 years now, and even though he doesn't get a chance to bowl out on tour a whole lot, I believe that our games are real similar. And whenever one of us is down, the other one is right there to pick him up, and it's real easy, relatively easy for us to line up off each other.
One of the reasons Parker's so successful, I think, is because he can read lanes well. This week, he led off, read the lanes real well, and everything just fell into place.
Well, they lead by 42 pins here now.
And they made some good points, Chris. Parker Bohn, the experienced player, what Fisher said is that he can line up off them. He can read the shots because Parker's been out here longer, and they have similar games, so when they get hot, they can run together, and that's important in a doubles match.
Ray Perez trying to get the first strike for his team. After 2 victories here today, is left a 10 pin.
Coming right into your living room, the ball goes out to about the 3rd board on the right-hand lane. Perez finishes a little bit late, or behind the head pin, we call it. Does not get enough impetus on the 6 and leaves the 10. All right, let's project a little bit. Right now, Keith and Perez with no strikes are going at a 175 pace. But if they strike out, they could be at 225. Bohn and Fisher going at 218 right now, so it's not over, especially in doubles competition. But you must start throwing strikes right now.
And Jimmy Keith comes through the first. Remember the Open twice at the beginning. Then 3 spares.
Fisher has a game very similar to Parker Bohn, as he explained, and what the similarities are the arm swing pattern, the inside-out pattern, ball speed, and the amount of hook.
Nice style that has won him 9 regional titles. Well done.
More and more, the left-handers are becoming what we call inside players. Remember how they used to play the corner all the time? Not to be now. As you see this arm swing of Duane Fisher's tuck right inside. That's perfect arm swing.
Recent bride, Parker's wife, Mary. They were married in the Howell, New Jersey bowling establishment. That's right. We'll be back with more of our semifinal game following this. Right here on ABC.
And come back is what is necessary here for Keith and Perez. They trail by 63, but if they can finish with 6 strikes, they can make a match of it. But they're in a must situation, 7th frame.
Only their second of the entire match, and came at a good time, a double.
The Miller 200, Chris, your friend Emerson Fittipaldi, who you picked to win the Indianapolis 500, will also be racing in that race. I get a chance to watch him this time.
Well, you'll enjoy him. He's world champion that finally won his first Indy 500.
See if he can stay hot. Here's a guy who has to stay hot right here. Unbelievably bad break. Just too much power. What happens with Jimmy Keith right here is he hits so light with so much power, he takes the 5-pin and throws it. Watch the action of the 5-pin, the pin in the center. You hit the 1, 3. Now watch what happens to the 5-pin. You cannot throw the 5-pin behind the 7. Only Keith can do that, and he paid a penalty.
Bowling is fun for all degrees of competence. Also, you can vent some of your frustration, can't you? In shots like Jimmy just did.
Well, Duane Fisher, right here in his first championship round appearance, can make it a cakewalk with 1 more strike.
This team has 5 in a row.
And you know what? Fisher turned to Parker Bohn and says, I got it, partner. You know why? He pulled that ball about a board or 2 to the right of his target. It just set right in the pocket. And when a player knows he can do that, look out.
If they go all the way, they will meet the tournament leaders. 2-time winners here. Record breaker Mike Aulby and his brother-in-law, Steve Cook. Make it 6. All right, Parker Bohn, the 3rd, and Duane Fisher.
It looked like he pulled the ball a little bit, but just didn't catch it. 2 mistakes. He ended up with a line drive in the box score for a strike. Here, he gets good lift on the ball, pulls it again, and ends up with a wide open split.
Breezing along so well in the previous game, combining to shoot at 278 to Keith and Perez's 204. Bohn and Fisher down by 27. We're in the championship game. Thank you very much, Frank. We're live at the Showboat Lanes in Las Vegas, Nevada, the 10th PBA Doubles Classic. 2 victories by Perez and Keith. Then Bohn and Fisher eliminated them with a powerful 278. Now the championship match, $30,000 to the winning team. They are in the lead. Steve Cook and his brother-in-law, Mike Aulby. They have 3 in a row, shooting in the 4th frame. They can increase the lead over Bohn and Fisher to 37. Okay, earlier we asked Mike Aulby, if your brother-in-law was a right-hander, would you still take him as a partner?
Yeah, it's not left-handed or right-handed, you know, with family, and we get along good together, and it's just kind of a fun week for us, and we just go out and bowl.
Yeah, I definitely would take Steve. Steve and I have bowled well for about 6 or 7 years together, and we have a lot of fun out there, and that's the name of the doubles. Have fun. It's a release for most of us to get to bowl together, and it's not so tough. All the pressure's not on you now. It's on both of you, so it's a little bit easier to take.
Okay. They are loose and ready. Steve Cook and Mike Aulby, 5 in a row here in our championship game.
Shooting for their 3rd doubles title. And Duane Fisher, who has only made 1 mistake in 9 previous shots, finds himself in arrears by 47.
Smooth. Duane Fisher.
Here's a pivotal shot in the match. Parker Bohn has pulled both shots on the left-hand lane. He got away with it in the 2nd frame, got a strike. In the 4th, he opened the door for the Cook-Aulby duo with his 4-6-10 split. He must strike here to keep some pressure on the tournament leaders.
And 3 in the sleeper 9 for Parker Bohn.
What's happened to Parker Bohn is he looks at the lane, says, what is happening? He read his first shot in the 2nd frame, as you see an overhead shot, as being perfect. He didn't realize he pulled it. The next shot, he just gave himself credit for pulling. Now he's made an adjustment, and now he's playing the lane incorrectly. He's going to struggle the rest of the game.
Our last of 3 Spring Tour event telecasts here on ABC Sports after 16 Winter Tour telecasts, but we'll be back January 13th, 1990 for the start of an even longer telecasting season.
24 events next year, right on through July. Now Cook for 6 in a row.
And instead, it's a 3-7-9.
3-7-9. A couple of theories of how to make this. One, some people say slide the 3-pin over in the 7. Hopefully the 7 will kick back and take out the 9. I kind of agree with that theory. The other is just pile drive the 3-9 and hope you get a kick out of the pit. Let's see if Cook can make it. Nobody's ever made it in a championship round.
So a freewheeling and confident doubles team have found a little nick in the armor, an open frame in the 6th after 5. Watch Mike Aulby now. Great temperament. Mike and Steve married sisters.
The Canepa sisters.
Mm-hmm. And Tammy, Mike's wife, looking at that overhead score sheet.
Expecting their first child in late October. Momentum. It left a little bit the Cook-Aulby team when Steve Cook opened there in the 6th. Aulby didn't quite have the punch there in the 7th. Could not afford to miss the 7-pin. It would shoot new life into the Bohn Fisher team.
Mike sort of stubbed his toe before the line, thus he missed the shot.
Mike Aulby has not missed a 7-pin in the championship round since 1982. He missed 2 of them in the Grand Prix that we held in Paris, France. It cost him the title. This is his next time, 7 years later, he misses a 7-pin. Let's see what effect it has on the final outcome. Duane Fisher, new life, 7th frame, only trails by 21.
No, leaving the 3-9. What a comparison. Here is Duane Fisher, first ever television. Mike Aulby in his 49th.
And Aulby, the outgoing player, and Duane Fisher a little sedated even when he has received that gift of 2 open frames from the Cook-Aulby team. But he must make this spare.
Two for the price of 1. That's her doubles competition. I know for Harry Golden, tournament director, it's been a very busy week with doubles competition. And our PBA coordinator, Frank Esposito, long accustomed to doubles competition.
Parker Bohn must be the leader of his team right now. He has been shaky in his 3 shots. He must lean back, stretch out, and just put everything he has on this shot.
And then is faced with a 4-6-10 for the southpaw.
Reminds me of a professional golfer who is putting and thinks he's putting well, yet he's pulling the putts into the hole, and all of a sudden he hits one on line and he misses the putt. He doesn't know what to do, and that's what's happened to Parker Bohn.
You're not inferring that you ever had that problem.
If the cup was 4 inches to the left of my eyes, I'd make it every time.
All right. Winner of 17 PBA bowling titles, Bo Burton. Here is Steve Cook with 13 titles, Roseville, California.
Come on now, bring it in.
What a break. It's the right place to look and give thanks.
Look at this ball hanging on the first board. It snaps very sharply. He blows the 5 behind the 10. He's lucky enough to get the head pin to come out and take out the 7. He thinks it's a strike, then a split. And now it's something I can make.
Steve Cook, whose wife Candy, back in California with their 3 children, is Stacy, graduated from 8th grade. Speaking of graduators, only the best in figure skating and gymnastics in the Crest Symphony of Sports.
Robin Cousins, one of my favorite.
Great choreographer. The 5th man to win over $1 million in professional bowling, Mike Aulby, shows you his skill, joining Holman, Roth, Anthony, and Weber.
And here's the shot that ices his 5th victory of the year. Watch his reaction. That's it, Mike. You can go to the bank, pal, with that 30 grand.
Earlier, talking with Mike, he said that about a little more than a year ago, he took 10 weeks off in the summer, doing so poorly. And here he's had a record-setting year. The standard is set very high, 264,065, and 15 added to that today.
And a lot of weeks left. Chris, you picked the Indianapolis 500 correctly. I'm going to ask you to pick the Miller High Life 200. You have Andretti's in the field, Mears, Emerson Fittipaldi. Who's the winner?
Well, knowing the excellence of Roger Penske, I doubt if he would let another team take away a victory from either Rick Mears or Al Unser, or Danny Sullivan.
I can bet on Mears then. The best this team can do is 187. Now 177. The game is over.
So the Aulby and Cook, you know, the tournament leaders, winning in 85, 86. Coming back here in 89, 15,000 to each of them. And as Mike Aulby keeps all the bowling balls of his title victory, so he'll add another one along with the trophy in his huge trophy room back in Indianapolis, where we'll go next year at Woodland Bowl for the United States Open. And we'll get a chance to host all our ABC crew back in the home state for the first time in a long time.
Indianapolis. We bowled there on the winter tour before, but they've been awarded the U.S. Open, which was held in Edmond this year, won by Mike Aulby. Exciting. 80 lanes, Woodland Bowl, Indianapolis, a wonderful town. Their football team should do quite well this year, Chris, and a lot of good things happening in your home state.
Right.
Cook a victory lap. The best they can shoot is 194, but it's all been decided.
Well, the biggest thank you I want to give today is to our loyal viewers. They have been so consistent over 28 seasons, and we invite them back for a 29th starting January 13th. in California.
I will second that as Steve Cook, a possible 214.
Also, I want to thank Dick Evans, bowling and racing editor of the Miami Herald, retiring after 40 years on the paper, but he will continue to write bowling. He's in attendance today. All right. 214 to 177. Tammy Aulby is there. Her sister is back in California, but the brother-in-laws have done it. Well, here they are. Great winners. Third time. Doubles Classic. Steve Cook, Mike Aulby. We'll get to them in a minute. Jack Cook, general manager here with that 30,000, and naturally, 2 for 1 today, 2 trophies. But your competition did well today, and they're with Nelson Burton right now. Bo.
Thank you, Chris. Parker Bohn, Duane Fisher. Good season for you, Parker. Duane, you have to be a little bit surprised on how you start. Never been in a championship round, 8 strikes in a row.
Yeah, I felt good. When we started the match, I knew I had the better shot on the right lane. The left lane was a lot tougher, so we figured if it came down to the 10th frame, I had a better shot on the right side. So the right lane looked good, and I just kept going.
Good performance for both of you. Parker, you're going to go on. Duane, back to the East Coast, make some money. Chris, you have some winners.
Yes, and I can see why you both have said that if you were right-handers, you'd still choose one another.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun out there today, and Parker and Duane bowled just tremendous, and they had the lanes figured just like we did. The left lane was tougher, and that's why we wanted to finish on the right.
Steve, that's number 14 for you.
Yeah, nice to get off of 13. It's been a while. It's been about a year, so I bowled pretty good, and I just, today it ended up working out for everything. I want to thank Showboat, Jack Cook, Victoria, everybody, all the scorekeepers and everything. They were fantastic this week.
Jack, a quick comment with that big check.
Thanks, Chris. We've really enjoyed having the PBA here this week. It's been another great year, another great tournament. Congratulations, Steve and Mike. You guys took off a couple of years, and now you've come back strong. And Showboat's very happy to host the PBA, and congratulations. And here's your check for $30,000.
Congratulations to a thoroughbred entry. You got to go now, Steve. Nice going, Mike. We'd like to tell you that the executive producer of ABC Sports is Jeffrey Mason. Today's telecast was produced by terrific Carol Letty, directed by talented Larry Cam, technical director Les Weiss, associate director, we welcome him back, Jeff Cohan. Now this is Chris Schenkel along with Nelson Burton Jr. saying so long from Las Vegas, Nevada. Coming up next, a truly unique event, a combination of gymnastics and figure skating.